Well, the world has still gone nutty, buddy, even downright cruddy, buddy. Wish I missed the past, buddy, but there's still Buddycast. No, don't be nutty, go meet everybody here on Buddycast.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the founder and host of Buddycast, Nick Sorensen.
It's a beautiful night. We're looking for something fun to do. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling Buddycast tonight. How are we all doing tonight? It's another episode of everybody's favorite show, Buddycast. I'm your host, Nick Sorensen. Joining me today is a very special buddy, a new buddy of mine, my buddy, Stephen Trohoske. How you doing today, Stephen?
I'm doing good, Nick. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for stopping on the show tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Now, Stephen, you are the manager of City Gallery here in Erie, Pennsylvania. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. City Gallery is a art gallery and a concert space run by myself and the owner, Leanna Logvina. And we do art openings. We do live music concerts with local, national, and international acts.
Ooh.
We host receptions. We rent space out. We've done all kinds of things since we've had the space. People come to me with ideas on how to use the space, and it's it's just a great kind of experience to go and check out and just be surrounded by the art and the music and all those wonderful things, you know.
Ooh, this gives me an idea for the year anniversary of Buddycast.
Hey, there you go.
Awesome. Who are some of the local acts you've had down there?
The what's that?
The local acts that have come to you and everything like that, like local musicians, things like that.
Oh boy, we've had a lot of them from some of the older veteran musicians like Roger Montgomery, Dave Van Amberg's band, to Jess Royer, Optimistic Apocalypse with Mackenzie Sprague. We've had we just had Lily Gamble come in and play this weekend. She's a 19-year-old singer-songwriter, wonderful performer. We've had all kinds of acts: Monica Lewis, Matt Boland, Eric Brewer.
Ooh,
quite a few people.
Matt Bowen's a good buddy of mine. He's been on the show before. Him and
great guy.
Him and Tommy Link actually did the theme song that you just listened to.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, Matt was on banjo and Tommy was the singer.
Those guys are great.
Yes, 100%. So what got you interested in the arts to begin with?
You know what? It was always something that was just kind of part of my surrounding, I guess, coming up. I had a lot of friends that were artists, and I guess I was just drawn to creative types, you know. I'm a musician myself, and I think just being around creative people, whether it's visually creative or audibly creative or, even, what you do, just technically it's setting up things, interviewing, all these different art forms and talents. I just like being around it. It makes me feel good, makes me, it's a great place to kind of get lost, and the heaviness of life, comes at you. It's great to be surrounded by all that beautiful expression. I love seeing new things like that. I love seeing where people's imagination takes them. I love seeing a story in a good piece of art. It's individually somebody's, and it tells a lot about that person, and that's what I like the most,
I like that a lot. I like the fact that it's not just the visual, it's not just the paintings, the sculptures, it's music art. It's art like what you consider Buddycast art. That's a compliment. Thank you.
It certainly is. Yeah, it's an art form. I always thought interviewing people was an art form. I used to watch like Bandstand growing up, and Dick Clark was on, and he was such a great interviewer. It was really took me till I got older to realize what a great art form it was.
Hmm. So you mentioned earlier you're a musician as well. What
I am.
sparked your interest in music? Like you said, you were kind of raised in
Man,
it, but
it seems like I was just drawn to it from an early age. I think everybody finds that little porthole in music, that they can escape into. And it's that one language that we all seem to kind of understand and share together, Um, I just, it's such a big question. I just can't imagine my life without it. My
mm-hmm.
grandfather was a musician. He played back in the 40s, actually, with the Erie Philharmonic.
Ooh.
Yeah, he was a violinist and violist, and he played with the Philharmonic. And I never, of course, never got to see him play because it was back in the 40s, and it was way before I was born. But I got to experience growing up, being over there, him listening to classical music, and just again, friends getting involved. A lot of the guys in my neighborhood played music, so I was always around it, and it just influenced me. So I picked it up, and it just made sense to me.
Mm-hmm. So music's like in your blood. Music's really like it's that deep in you. It's in your blood, basically.
It's in all our blood.
Yeah.
you know we just
Mm-hmm.
need to let it flow, just release it, man. And lose fear, and just go out and play something. And I think we would all be musicians if we allowed ourselves to be. I think it's truly part of who we are as people, you know
Brilliant. So speaking of music, you played bass.
I
Um,
do.
how did you? What sparked your interest with playing bass? Like, what made you choose the bass guitar?
I'm a visceral type of player. I really like the big surrounding bear hug of a bass. I like the way that it outlines everything, and I like the way that it's got this kind of simultaneous continuum, of harmony and rhythm, and it kind of carries the band, and it can, oftentimes excel the soloist or the vocalist, with what you're playing underneath them. And it's just where I feel like I've always belonged in the band. It's a great position for me to be in as a leader when I lead my bands. And I love the groove. It's almost hypnotic to me. It's like a mantra sometimes, like a prayer, and it just kind of washes over me.
Wow, that's awesome. So, follow up question that just popped into my mind: do you find it more what's the word I'm looking for? Like, not easier, but do you find it like more natural for you to play songs that are already written, or to play your own songs? Would you say?
Well, I find it more natural always to play my own stuff because it's what I hear in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think it's really important to play other people's music, because it's important to have an idea of how music moves and works together. So with anything, you imitate, and what's the old thing they say? Imitate, assimilate, and whatever the third one is, um, innovate. But I believe in that. I believe that you need those learning lessons and those foundations to kind of figure out the language of music, and that helps you. It's like if you were learning a foreign language, you would listen to a audio tape, or you would listen to a video, and you would repeat the phonics and everything, and the vocabulary, and the dynamics, the punctuation. You would follow all those little rules, and then once you kind of get it down, you break them, or you kind of put them off to the side, and you start to follow. You start to kind of follow what you hear in your head. And sometimes you're walking along and you're humming a song and you're thinking, what song is that? And then you think, man, maybe it's one of mine. And you write it down, and before you know it, you got a song.
Awesome. When you write a new song, do you think of the like music aspect first or the lyrics first, typically?
I always think of the melody first, a lot of times, or I always think of a bass line first. Like maybe an ostinato. I like playing a lot of ostinatos, and I like playing like repeated lines. Um, and sometimes I like playing lines that could both be the bass line or the melody. I keep it simple enough that it can find its way in and out. And those lines are often the strongest for me. They're kind of a riff, and I
Mm-hmm.
ride on those. But it's often either a melody or a bass line that I always hear first. And then I usually start to kind of sing it in my head, and then I'll sit down and pick up the bass. And I compose on the bass too. Um, and I just look at it like my overall little uh, musical companion that helps me extend these ideas and get them out there.
Nice. That's awesome. So another follow-up question I just thought of. Who are some of like your musical role models? Who are some people you grew up listening to, or some people you really like are inspired by today?
Um, I was really inspired growing up, and still really touched. I'm in my 50s now. So when I was growing up, punk rock was really punk rock and post-punk music was really had an amazing impact on me. The kind of melodicism of the music, the energy, um, sometimes the statements, the fashion. It was all part of a great romantic package, and it really had an influence on me. But mostly, it helped me find my personal freedom. And after that, I needed to extend my vocabulary a little bit more, and jazz had always kind of been part of my life too. And so I was lucky enough to meet some really great jazz musicians when I was young and formulate, both friendships and musical relationships with them and learn things from them. I was never a really good student. Even in music, I was just a daydreamer. I drift off. I'm not disciplined as I'd like to be. But if I would start working on a scale or working on technical things, I would always get sidetracked and write a song. So I figured I was just a songwriter. I just heard things, and so for better or for worse, that's what I do.
Ooh,
And yeah, so that's where it rolls into.
nice. A quick question from the audience. Who is your favorite punk rock band?
Wow. I think with the early punk rock stuff, I was really into the bands that were coming out of England at the time, and coming out of that whole area. So of course I was listening to a lot of the Sex Pistols. I was listening to a lot of early stuff. I was Stiff Little Fingers, the Cramps, the X-Ray Specs. Basement 5 had a huge impact on me. They were real early on. I was a huge fan of, even bands like The Damned and some of that goth stuff. It just had a really big influence on me. And, I had different favorites on different days. New albums would come in all the time, and we'd listen to them, and bootlegs would come in, and we'd listen to them, and we'd spend just hours digesting them. There was
Mm-hmm.
just so many bands.
Mm-hmm. Back in the day, were you a fan of vinyl?
Oh, I mean, that's what we had.
Mm-hmm.
We had vinyl, and then we had cassette tapes. But some of the bass players, I think, from the punk rock era that really hit me was there was a guy named Yaw Wobble, and he played in a band called Public Image Limited, and they were kind of an offshoot of a little bit after the Sex Pistols and going into kind of the post-punk era. And he just had these really big, fat, hypnotic, deep, muscular movements, and I mean, they hit me like a freight train. I couldn't stop moving. It was just, I mean, it was such a powerful thing. And Norman Watt-Roy played in a band called Ian Dury and the Blockheads, and he was really funky and really added funk. And Gary Tibbs from Adam and the Ants and bands like that, man. I mean, those guys just had the grooves that I wanted, and so I learned them. And then as time went on, I learned I loved walking bass lines. I loved playing Miles Davis. I loved jazz. And so there was a marriage of those two styles, I think, for me. I was never punk enough for punk and never jazzy enough for jazz. So I fell somewhere in the middle.
I was about to say, you combine the styles.
I did what I heard. I did what I knew.
Mm-hmm. So another music question I have for you is, do you have any upcoming shows where our buddies can find you at?
Yeah, actually, I'm playing tomorrow at the Flagship City Food Hall.
Ooh.
That's Wednesday, April 26th. I have a little trio with Mike Russo on guitar and Ken Thompson on drums, Sticks Thompson. It's called the Eclectic Barbecue, and it's creative music. And we're there from 5:30 to 7:30 tomorrow. That's the soonest gig coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, I can catch you. I could probably catch you guys. I have a
Great.
big interview. I have a big interview tomorrow at 7, so it might just be a quick, hey, how's it going? Zoom.
That's okay.
Yeah. So back to the Erie Arts, by the way. What do you think? You mentioned it earlier about like how there's different forms, but what do you love most about Erie Arts, you would say?
I think the fact that we have an arts community that is the size that it is. I mean, we have a pretty large art community here. We have some great talents. Of course, I feel honored to know some of these people, and I feel honored to have hosted some of these people. It's the arts are never easy. There's a lot of things behind the scenes that people don't see. It's a chase and get chased game. It's it's something that people don't see as a necessity. They see it obviously as a luxury. I see it as a necessity because I have to live off of it, but also I see it as a necessity because I think that art, of course, it paints our world and it identifies with us. It just makes our space so much more beautiful. I've seen it do more than just create a beautiful space. I've done shows on trauma where, people have actually brought in pieces that they've expressed through severe trauma in their life. And this expression has helped them move forward in a positive manner. I have done shows where people have honored other artists with their art. And that's wonderful to see as well. Different styles, different eras. We did a full photography show with Rob Frank on the musicians in Erie. And we helped the musicians startup fund that was helping during COVID when people were out of work. So it all kind of ties in together. And it's more important than people may think. It's more of a necessity than a luxury. Art in our life is crucial. Mm-hmm. It's it's communication, it's language.
Yeah, I was gonna say, from just what you expressed there, it sounds like it's very therapeutic and it helps you express things. It helps you really get to your feelings out without having to cause any damage, without having to do anything. It helps you express yourself.
Absolutely, it's a very healthy expression.
Mm-hmm. Do you participate in gallery nights downtown?
I have participated in gallery nights before, yes.
What are your thoughts on those?
Yeah, the Erie Art Museum does a beautiful job with them. It's always a fun night. It's always great to see the galleries get together and work together, because I think that we've been doing a gallery brunch the second Saturday of each month also. So from 11 to 2, we do a gallery brunch with all the downtown galleries. So my place, City Gallery, and the 1020 Collective, Glass Growers, D. Hopkins, Feed, 49, uh, the Artifacts, Mary Gamble's Artifacts on 10th Street there. We've all been doing these great music and brunch art gatherings, and people can go from place to place and maybe have a pastry and mimosa and some coffee and take in a show. And we've been working together, and that's always a really nice feeling too, to know that other people that are in the same kind of business as you want to see you succeed. And we all know that we're individually different enough that we're not really stepping on each other's toes or doing anything, that may, I don't know, take away from another person's business.
Mm-hmm.
I think the more the merrier down there. The more that we can work together with that, the more that we can, people will want to come down. I mean, it's nice to come down and see my place, but it's nice to come down and see a few places.
It's nice that you have that collaboration.
Well, I think, collaboration is going to be the key to downtown in so many ways. Because once again, if you want to park your car, you park your car, it's nice to go to 3 or 4 spots. It's nice to be able to take a walk down a block and be able to go into a few different businesses. It's nice if one gallery has something, that's sculpture, another gallery may have paintings, and another gallery may have a show of an artist that you've been wanting to see. So all those things I think collectively work together.
Mm-hmm. Do you know when the next gallery night is, by the way?
One just passed, so I'm not sure. I'd have to look. Summer sometime. I'm thinking maybe July.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. I'll make sure to come down.
That'd be great.
Mm-hmm. So for our buddies, because we have buddies that watch the show from all over the world, actually, we have buddies that listen to our audio from different countries. We have buddies that, we interview people from the United Kingdom, from Canada. If they're, even buddies here in the United States, where are you located? Where's your location if they ever want to come to Erie for a trip, say this summer?
We are at 1503 State Street in Erie, Pennsylvania. It is in the historic PACA building, which PACA is a building that is a artist collective started by Mark Tannenbaum. And there is, I don't even know how many different artists throughout that building, but there's everyone from bookbinders to clay spaces to a full theater that runs these sellout shows, all the time, and to art galleries, to photography, to musicians, to everything in between. It's really, really wonderful to be a part of.
Love it. Now, buddy, I've got 2 more questions for you to make this an official Buddycast. The first one is brought to us by my buddy Jonas Kane at #Positivity. He wants to know, in your own words, what does it mean to be someone's buddy?
Well, I have to say, I think what it means to be somebody's buddy is sometimes to be accepting without judgment, and to understand that everybody is on a road, man, and all those roads are not always yours. So sometimes you just have to listen. Sometimes you have to make suggestions. Sometimes you have to forgive. Sometimes you have to forget. But I think that you always have to trust that there's a reason that buddies are brought into each other's lives. And those people will be the ones that'll be there to pull you through the toughest times too, So I think being a good buddy is just letting someone be themselves and loving them for it.
That is one of the best answers I have yet to hear. So thank you for that.
Absolutely.
The final question I have for you tonight is what we call the ultimate Buddycast buddy question. You ready for this one?
I am.
For anyone out there who wants to be an artist, who wants to be, I'm going to make it a two-parter for you, wants to be an artist and wants to be a musician, what is your advice to them?
Well, my advice, I guess, would be if you want to do this, be a good person first. Search for that. I have not always been. I've been through, my rough stretches in life. Even day to day, I learn a lot about myself. But I think that when you strive to be the best person you can be, it's as corny as it sounds. When you strive for that humanity, then you find really wonderful aspects in art and music. I think that you should study a language. You should learn the language. You should learn as much as you can. You should play a lot of different gigs. I don't care if it's jazz, country, and Western. Play a lot of different music. If there's a song you don't like, sit down and try to learn it. If there's a band that never appealed to you, sit down and try to learn their music. And I've had bands where I've said, man, I don't really like that song. And someone said, well, let's learn it. And I've learned it, and I say, well, I really like that song. I really like the way that song works, and I really like the way that it moves. And I think that works for me. But also find a good teacher. I think teachers are still really important. A lot of good cats, they grew up with teachers, man. It's okay to go home and fiddle around and learn things. That's important. But find a good teacher, learn music, learn that language. It's a language.
So learn new things and find a good teacher.
Yeah, I think so. I think learn the language how you have to. Art, music, and try things, just trust your imagination.
Mm-hmm.
Trust the process.
I always say it's better to have the experience and find out, hey, not for me, or maybe I need to do this a different way or something than to always
that's okay.
Than to have that what if question in your head, like always wondering, what if I went down that road, or what if I tried this,
That's it. I mean, if it really appeals to you and you want to give it a shot, I mean, you're as good as you're always going to be, or you're as good as what you want to put into it. Some people are a little bit more natural than others. Some people are just a big product of really hard work. I know some great, fantastic musicians, world class. And, you say, hey man, how do you get to do this and that? And it's just work, practice, study. I just grind away at it like anything, right? I'm sure when you got that microphone and all that equipment in front of you, you probably didn't know how to use it as good as you know how to use it now. You have to read some instructions and watch some videos, right? Yep. And learn where the buttons are, and it's music too.
Yep. When I got StreamYard, that's exactly what it was. It was learn this, watch this, do that. But now it's second nature to me. It's okay. You know what? I can pull this comment up here. I can do this. I can do that. Or hey, now's the perfect time to insert this.
Right.
So it's all natural. You're right. It's all second nature, but you never learn until you start doing.
Right.
All righty. Well, buddy, thank you for being a buddy here on Buddycast. True pleasure talking to you. I learned a lot today. I hope to see you at a show. I hope to see you at gallery night. And if we're ever downtown sometime, feel free to say hey,
Absolutely. Thanks, Nick. I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. Stick around for a quick minute. We'll chat afterwards.
Sure.
But for all my buddies out there, this is my buddy, Stephen Trohoske. Please check out the Erie Arts. Support the Erie Arts, most importantly. And Stephen, before we end the show, I have one favor to ask you.
Yeah.
Whatever you do today, tomorrow, next week, next month, or even next year, please promise me you're going to go out and you're going to be someone's buddy.
Absolutely. I promise.
Alrighty. We'll catch you all next time here on everybody's favorite show, Buddycast.
Well, the days are going fast, buddy, with got to make them laugh. Buddy, buddy, before they've all gone past. Buddy, buddy, tune in to Buddycast. But don't feel none, it could make it, buddy, here on Buddycast.